French President Emmanuel Macron has condemned a deadly shooting in Paris, which he says was a deliberate attack on the Kurdish community. 3 people have died in the shooting in the capital, and several others are seriously injured. Police have arrested a 69-year-old French citizen in connection with the attack.
Paramedics rushed to take care of the wounded. The emergency services launched a large-scale operation in central Paris after shots were fired in a Kurdish cultural centre, a restaurant and a barber's shop. We saw people holding on to a man, a big, older man. There were 3 people wounded in the barber shop. Someone asked me to ring an ambulance, so I called them and the police. The suspected shooter, a 69-year-old French citizen, was placed under arrest. The former train driver and hobby marksman is known to police. He's been charged with committing violence against foreigners before, after allegedly injuring 2 migrants a year ago. He was released from jail earlier this month under judicial supervision. French Interior Minister Gérald Darmanin visited the crime scene and said the attacker had clearly wanted to target foreigners. We'll do everything we can to clarify the details of the attack and the motive. But it already seems clear that he acted alone. Darmanin announced that authorities would step up efforts to protect Kurdish residents. While he was visiting the centre, clashes broke out between police and demonstrators, with protesters throwing stones and police responding with tear gas.
TW correspondent Sonia Falnikar in Paris filled us in on more details about the shooting.
Well, what we know, Nicole, is that the shooting took place this morning at 11 local time. It happened near the Gare de l'Est station in central Paris. This is a major train station, and the area around it is really bustling and lively with lots of restaurants and bars and shops. It's also home to many members of France's Kurdish community. And witnesses there, as we saw in your report, really describing chaotic scenes, people panicking, fleeing the scene when gunshots rang out. Now, the local mayor of the district has said that three places came under attack here. That was the Kurdish Cultural Center, a hairdresser, and a restaurant. President Macron, like you said, tweeting today about this heinous attack targeting the Kurdish community. The suspect himself, who's been arrested, was apparently injured in this shootout and has been taken to hospital.
What do we know about the suspected shooter?
He's a 69-year-old French national, a retired train driver. He's known to the police. He's been previously charged with racist violence. He was, in fact, arrested last December for attacking a migrant camp in eastern Paris with a sword. The French Interior Minister, Gérald Darmanin, as we saw in your report, was talking to journalists today at that scene. And he said that motive of the attacker was far from clear. He said, he was not known to intelligence agencies. There was no file on him for radicalization, no known links as yet to ultra far-right groups. But he is a shooter in a sports club. That's what he said. He has declared several weapons. And Darmanin really made it a point to say that at this stage, he was far from certain whether the shooter had really targeted the Kurdish community or whether it was an attack on foreigners in general.
Now, members of the Kurdish community there in Paris were not only shocked, they were also frustrated because this isn't the first time they're being targeted in Paris, is it?
That's correct. I mean, this attack comes, nearly 10 years after 3 Kurdish female activists were murdered in Paris in January 2013. That included the co-founder of the militant nationalist Kurdistan Workers' Party, the PKK. And a judicial investigation into those murders is still ongoing in France. Authorities here have spoken of the involvement of certain members of Turkey's secret services. So I think there is a lot of anger here among the Kurdish community at the police for failing to protect them yet again, for failing to solve those murders 10 years ago. So I think emotions really running high among the Kurdish population in France.